Attorney General William Barr, screen left, prepping to make the Mueller report public in a couple of weeks, but that's not good enough for House Democrats. Judiciary Committee Chairman, man on the screen right, Jerry Nadler, pushing a vote to subpoena him because they want it now. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan sits on the House Judiciary Committee. He joins us right now from Statuary Hall. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good to be with you, Steve.
Why is it you Republicans will not release an unredacted copy of this Mueller report? It's all he wants.
Yeah, well, here's the interesting thing, Steve. You got the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, saying go ahead and make public classified information, and then you have the chairman of the Judiciary Committee saying go ahead and make public grand jury material. Now that's scary. I mean, I was talking with John Ratcliffe. He said this is one of the scariest things he's seen. So this is where they're at because the Mueller report was not the bombshell that they had hoped it would be. But when you have the head of the Intelligence Committee, the head of the Judiciary Committee saying make public material that's not supposed to get public, that's not consistent with the law, that's just wrong, just plain wrong.
So explain the law why certain things are redacted, Congressman.
Because they're classified material. Or because it's about grand jury material with someone who may not be in any charge, but you don't make that information public. That's just consistent with who we are as a country. Total standard operating. So Bill Barr said he will err on the side of transparency. He wants to release as much as possible, but he's going to do it consistent with the law, which is what we should expect from an Attorney General of the United States of America. So again, understand that this report was not what they had hoped. First, the Cohen hearing they had was a flop. Then the Mueller report comes out. It's not the bombshell they hoped. Remember what Bill Barr said Special Counsel Mueller found? No new indictments, no sealed indictments, no collusion, no obstruction. As definitive as you can get. And so now what they're saying is we want to find something. We have to find something because we're so committed to getting at this president and not focused on, frankly, doing what's best for the country.
Well, Congressman, while Jerry Nadler is pushing for an unredacted copy, there's delicious irony in this. It was the day that the Ken Starr report regarding Bill Clinton was released. And remember, Bill Clinton, Democrat, as is Jerry Nadler. September 9th, 1998. Jerry Nadler, who sat on the same committee as you are right now, Judiciary, he went on the Charlie Rose show that evening to essentially say, you know, everything he wants right now, he didn't want any of it back then. Listen to this.
As a matter of decency and protecting people's privacy rights, people who may be totally innocent, third parties, what must not be released at all. It's grand jury material. It represents statements which may or may not be true by various witnesses, salacious material, all kinds of material that it would be unfair to release.
Okay, so I'm confused. Why was grand jury material stuff secret 21 years ago, but now everybody should see it?
Oh, how times have changed, Steve. Well, the obvious reason is because this is now about President Trump, who they're out to get.
Right.
Again, this is the chairman of the judiciary, the long history the judiciary has in protecting fundamental liberties, fundamental rights, and following the law, and yet you now have the chairman saying, I don't care. I don't care. Give me everything. We want it made public. That is what is so wrong. And again, I keep coming back to this. It's because Bill Barr's letter spelling out what the special counsel found and the principal conclusions of his report was so strong for the president, complete vindication for the president. They are now, Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and others are now saying, we got to have stuff that's not consistent with how the rule of law works and has historically worked in this great country.
Well, they don't have any other, they've got no other argument because it was all about the Russia collusion thing. Let's just wait till it comes out. And then Mr. Mueller was very emphatic, according to Bill Barr. There's no collusion.
No, not only no collusion, but remember what Bill Barr said in his letter. Multiple opportunities for Trump officials, people associated with the campaign, to collude with Russia. Many times they dangled the forbidden fruit in front of them, and they never bit. Never bit. It could not have been stronger, and yet for 22 months, we heard from Adam Schiff to Jerry Nadler and a host of other Democrats say, we know for certain there's collusion, and yet Bill Barr's report said not one bit of it. Even though they were given multiple opportunities to collude, they did not do it.
You know what, and Congressman, since the Mueller report has been summarized by the Attorney General, a number of Democrats continue with well, there's evidence of collusion. Where's their evidence?
Yeah, I mean, I think the very next day you had Chairman Schiff say, there's undoubtedly collusion, even though the day before the Attorney General of the United States says there absolutely wasn't. Yep. Even given the fact they had multiple opportunities to, in fact, work with Russia, they did not do it.
All right. There it is for now. Let's see what happens with this subpoena business. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us today from Statutory Hall.
Thank you.
Growing outrage today after a major conference featuring 2020 Democrats kicked off with a fugitive cop killer's rallying cry.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We have nothing to lose but our chain.
Wow, Asadiq Shakur, also known as John Shepard, escaped from prison after being convicted in the 1973 murder of a Jersey state trooper and is currently on the FBI's list of most wanted fugitive terrorists. Here with reactions, David Webb, host of Reality Check with David Webb on Fox Nation. And Chesimar, I should say, that's Asada Shakur's other name. But David Webb is here. David, first off, the tone and tenor was still a must-attend for most presidential candidates.
Well, it's a must-attend for them, but also let me remind everyone that it was Barack Obama who put her on that top 10 list. I mean, this is someone who murdered Werner Forster, a New Jersey state trooper, and Cory Booker stood on that stage. Among the cowards in the Democrat Party who stand there because they either agree or they're afraid, he is the top of the cowards list for that event. How does he expect law enforcement in New Jersey to support him, the state he represents? And to law enforcement in New Jersey, do you support someone who doesn't object when a cop killer in your state is actually quoted on that same presidential stage?
So if you look at just from a pure election side, one of the main reasons Donald Trump won was because the black community stayed home, did not vote for Hillary Clinton for the most part. So they got to get out. So that's why they would think, if I'm going to win, I have to go there and maximize the black vote.
Well, it's also an assumption that blacks don't know any better because you have their back by the Democrats. First of all, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations. You go to black communities, you go to any community in America, if you're doing better economically, if you're doing better and you are under this president, then you're going to consider who got you there. And that's something that Republicans shouldn't underestimate in the black community. Go to the churches, go to the community centers, talk to people. They're working and they expect to be in that job next year and the following year. That's one of the president's big wins. It's when the people win.
Also, you also bring up the fact that, well, in contrast to that happening yesterday, the president's having his First Step Act, introducing the Second Step Act for criminal justice reform. That's happening at the White House. So the president's actually doing something, not talking about doing something, in a way in which it's even gotten Van Jones' attention.
Well, what Trump has done, which is significant among many issues, is he's taken typically Democrat wedge issues that they use on people and against voters, and he takes them and does something about them. So the administration deserves a lot of credit for going into these issues and saying, we're going to do something about it. The guy's a pragmatist. He sees a problem. He says, how do we fix the problem? Look at the cabinet secretaries. Look at the people around him. They're getting things done. Look at what Ben Carson is doing. Talk about the black community. Look at the opportunity zones, the Envision centers, 13 federal agencies working together under one approach, which is how do we solve the problem of poverty, not just for blacks, by the way, but for everyone across America, whether it's Appalachia or urban.
The other thing is when it comes to the Jewish community. There's no black candidate, there's no Democratic candidate that's ever gotten less than 60% for the American Jewish community. And you have Linda Sarsour, a known Democrat, known for her anti-Semite terroristic sympathizer in many respects. She's there. Does that push people to the Republican side?
Well, if it doesn't push them right away, I just have a question for them. When do you draw the line when Democrat presidents, just like or presidential hopefuls, go to Linda Sarsour to expect her support? Look, I have an old saying, and I'll say this to the Jewish community, the Jewish donors. If your enemy is the gun, don't buy him the bullets. And this is what's happening. You have a known anti-Semite, a known terrorist sympathizer in Linda Sarsour, and Jewish donors give to the party that goes on bended knee to her. I mean, come on, really? This is practical politics at its best.
All right. And what about some of the chants that were going on yesterday?
Look, it's not that it's not expected, Brian. My question is, when do these candidates stand up and say, we're running to be president of all of America, not just this segment right now that we need to keep where we need them for votes? And I go back to the soft bigotry of low expectations. Do Americans think so little of themselves that someone of that character who cannot represent all Americans is going to represent them?
All right. Thanks so much, David Webb. Appreciate it.